Alright, so I just saw the Iron Lung movie, and I'm about to play the video game for the very first time. I did see, this is Markiplier's movie, by the way, his directorial debut. Not his acting debut, because he's acted in a few other things before, both like in media, in film. He did that one Amazon sleeping series that I can't remember for the love of me. But he also did his with Markiplier series, Date with Markiplier, Heist with Markiplier. He's done acting, he's got experience, but this is his first time where he's actually directing, starring, producing, and editing a film all in one, which is, to me, is crazy. I can't imagine doing all of that, but he's very passionate about this project. Now, I did see him play the game before watching the film, and I'm about to play it for myself just to get an experience of it, but I basically got the concept that this was like a psychological horror-ish game, more like a thriller more than anything, about a guy who's in a submarine going down in the ocean of a blood moon, going into a moon of a blood ocean, whatever. And basically just, you're doing a deep sea exploration. Now, the funny thing is, I mean, I shouldn't even say funny, but more like the ironic thing is, I didn't even know that this was a game until I didn't even know anything about Iron Lung until I heard about the Titanic submarine issue. The one where 5 people died when the sub imploded trying to visit the Titanic, the billionaires, whatever. That story. And then apparently I was on Twitter and I saw that the sales for this game rose, and the creator had to say that this just feels wrong. He wasn't feeling comfortable that his game, that was technically what kind of happened in the Titanic submarine, was happening in the game. Happened, and sales for the game kind of rose up, and he was like, why are people doing this? This just feels wrong. I don't like the feeling of this. And I think sales for the game are kind of going up now because the movie's released. But anyways, that was my first introduction to Iron Lung, was the Titanic submersible, and then I found out about this game, and then because of me finding out about this game, I found out about the movie. And I was almost on the suspicion that because of the Titanic submersible thing, this movie wasn't going to be made, but I should have realized that it's two separate things. It has nothing to do. One has not to do with the other. It's just coincidental. But anyways, that was my first introduction because of the Titanic Titan submersible imploding. This game was introduced to me. So I got into the game for a bit, and I'm about to play it for the very first time. It was like $4 on Steam, and apparently, I don't know what it is, but Markiplier saw something in this game that I didn't, that compelled him to want to make this a film. Which again is crazy to me because it's just a basic film, or a basic game. It's uniquely made, I will say that. It has a unique way of telling a story, and it is a very unique thriller-esque vibe, and blood horror, I guess, if you're into that I really felt intrigued by. But I was just like, everybody had the same idea in their mind that you can't really make this into a movie, especially a 2-hour movie, because I saw this in 6:30. I didn't get out till 8:45, and during that time I was just like, again, this just doesn't feel like a movie based idea, but somehow Markiplier pulled it off, and I'm about to tell you what I think about it from a reviewing standpoint. That was just the origin aspect of Iron Lung. Now is sort of the review aspect of what I think about in terms of the film. So right off the get-go, from seeing the trailer, from seeing the sort of the teasers and whatnot, I knew that this was going to be like a blood horror film, filled with elements of Aldrich horror. And from what I understand, it's not supposed to be this story-based, story-driven kind of film. It's meant to be like a visual horror film. So I knew from the get-go, this was going to be a very unique style of film, and I wasn't going to watch it with the intention of seeing a story sort of unravel. At least that's what I thought at first. But then, as I started to see the concepts of the film coming to life, and the sort of story that was that inspired the film, I then understood what this film was trying to tell me personally. Now, right off the bat, one of the things that really caught my eye was how the film sort of handles Markiplier as a character, because again, it's hard to watch this film and not think like the main character is Markiplier, because I've grown up watching his videos and I've always known him as the guy who plays indie horror games, from Five Nights at Freddy's to Amnesia to other games such as like Subnautica and other, others. He was just an indie gamer, and I love that aspect of YouTube because it felt personal to me. It felt like this wasn't some hotshot celebrity playing like the biggest game on the internet like Fortnite or Overwatch or whatever. It was just a dude playing, for lack of better terms, cheaply made games by lesser known game creators, and I like that aspect of YouTube. It's one thing that I really do miss. It's interesting because when I play this game, or when I experience this game, I really do feel a sense of like, this is where true talent lies in gaming. It's not about playing the biggest, most popular brands. Play the biggest games, yes, but everybody's playing those games. If you want to really make an impact on the YouTube community in a gaming aspect, play games that nobody's heard about and sort of expand upon it. And I felt like this is what Markiplier did with this game. So for those of you who don't know, Iron Lung is about this guy who's a convicted convict who is sent to this moon planet, and the moon is filled with oceans of blood, and he's sent on like a submarine quest to discover this ocean of blood planet, and throughout the process he's taking pictures of various artifacts and whatnot in the sea, all while sort of there's this like creepy entity that is lingering in the ocean. And this is kind of a spoiler-ish, but this is the one thing that I actually do remember from the game. It's there's this like anglerfish called the frog, which apparently people were saying it looks like a frog, and I'm like, it looks like an anglerfish, but apparently that's the main antagonist of the game. And that was what I was actually looking forward to in the film. I was like, where's this like anglerfish kind of entity? And it didn't show up till the end. And spoilers for how that ends, I'll get to it later on. But yeah, it shows up in the end. And so throughout the time, I was that was the one thing I was anticipating more than anything. But eventually, it kind of died down. So let me just say that for the record, I knew this film was going to be slow, because again, there's only so much you can do in such a condensed set environment for a film, especially since 90% of the film literally takes place in the sub, and 90% of it is just Markiplier. Speaking of which, in terms of it just being Markiplier, in terms of like the cinematography, like what was being shot on camera, holy hair, okay? There were so many like close-up shots of just Markiplier's hair. It was crazy to me. Like, his hair is so long, and if you actually like see like one of the posters for the film, it's literally just the title of the film, his face, and his face just being covered by like strands of hair. I'm seeing it right now, and my god, it was just so much hair. I thought to myself, what am I watching right now? I feel like I'm just watching Markiplier's hair take up the entire frame of the camera. Sorry, it wasn't terrible or anything. It just like, that was one of the things I just picked up on that was kind of like a pet peeve of mine. But I just had to mention that. It was just like, that was taking up most of the film. So anyways, the film itself and how it differs from the game, it's the same concept. A convicted convict named Simon, who was part of this project called Project Eden, and because he did some crime, which is kind of spoilerly, I'll just mention it. He was taking place in a thing called the destruction of, oh my god, I can't remember it. It was some like lab, and for the love of me, I can't remember it off the top of my head. But he destroyed this lab, because the whole basis of the film is that there was this rapture that took place that wiped out a majority of humanity, and there were two companies that were fighting each other for like land dispute and scientific equipment and things like that. And Project Eden basically was taking hold, and Simon was involved in some destruction of the other team's death and whatnot. But anyways, he was a convicted convict, and essentially the only way he could earn his freedom is going down in the sub, which is nicknamed the Iron Lung, seeking this moon planet filled with oceans of blood. So before I get into the sort of story aspect of the film, I just want to say the biggest complaint I had with the film was the sound design. Now, if you're a film student like me, the one thing that you'll understand is people will forgive bad acting, bad editing, but they will never forgive bad sound. And holy mother of sound, there was just so much bad audio. Well, it wasn't even just bad audio. It was there were so many overlapping audio files on top of each other that it made it really hard for me to understand what the characters were saying and what was being told to me. And at first, I thought it was intentional. Most movies, what they'll do is they'll dial back the audio, especially majority of the dialogue is told through either Markiplier or through the audio speaker system that is communicating with Markiplier's character, with Simon, right? And I felt like there were at times it was hard to decipher what was being told on the intercom. And again, I thought they were doing this intentionally, which I was like, okay, that's fine. I don't have to hear what I'm being told, because in some context maybe it'll sort of unravel itself later down the line. But then there were just moments where Markiplier's character, again, I say Markiplier's character, but I meant to see Simon, where Simon just was responding, and it's okay, this is important information that we need to understand. But it's I couldn't hear. Honest to God, I don't know if it's just my ears not working as great as they used to, but honest to God, it's something was being told on the intercom would fizz out, and I wouldn't understand what it was that was being told, or what kind of experience was being understood. And it gave me a hard time to understand, okay, this was some valuable information, but I didn't get it, and it was never brought up again, and I sort of have to fill in the puzzle piece to understand what was being told to me. And that frustrated me, honestly, because I'm what the heck, man? What was being told to me? Why? That was some pretty important information. You couldn't bother to explain it, and I felt after watching this film, I kind of... Excuse me, saliva in my throat and mouth. I kind of needed to, watch the film again, but with subtitles, so that way I can understand what was being told to me. And that's where I felt that was the biggest downfall of this film, was that the audio could not have been any worse. And I feel bad for saying this, because overall, the rest of the film is pretty fine. It is slow. People were complaining. The biggest complaint people had was that it was slow. But honestly, after experiencing the game, after seeing how Markiplier played the game, and the concept of the film overall, I knew it was going to be slow. I was again, there's only so much you can do in one location. But the fact that it was 2 hours, even for me, I was this really didn't need to be 2 hours. Majority of the film was just Markiplier wandering about the sub, sort of building the world of the film. That was fine, but you could do that in 10 to 15 minutes. They did it in an hour or so. However long the first half of the film is. So I say first half because I feel the film is divided by two. There is the first half where it's Markiplier, the introduction of him in the Iron Lung, the moon planet that he's on, and what his mission is and what he wants to do, and the character of Simon. But it feels like it's kind of Markiplier playing Simon, right? And that's what everyone was agreeing with, is that, you see Markiplier, this wonderful, great YouTuber who's played indie horror games, and he's kind of playing himself for a bit. But in the second half, there's a point where, I won't get into spoilers, but he gets knocked out, and then he comes back. And throughout that moment, from when he wakes up till the rest of the film, I saw Simon as a character. And I thought that was great. I mean, Moist Critical was saying a really good point, where Markiplier, when he acts, it's you're first seeing Markiplier, and then slowly but surely he starts to evolve in the shoes of the character that he's playing. He could honestly be playing himself, but the scenario that he's in is not something that we're used to, and so we see the character of Markiplier transform into the story of the film, which I felt was great, because towards the end of the film, or from the second half to the end of the film, I really did feel like I was watching Simon as a character, and I started to understand the concepts of what Simon was as a character. Now, minorish spoilers, but yeah, because Simon took place in some destruction through the Project of Eden, he sort of, and because he's now a convicted convict, the whole core theme of the film is him trying to redeem himself by his deep sea exploration in the Iron Lung. The whole purpose is for him to find any source of life, because the stars and the skies and the planets and the moons have sort of disappeared, and this is like their one chance to sort of save humanity. And so his whole purpose is going down to see if there's any form of life whatsoever in this moon planet. I forget the love of me what the moon planet is called. I say the moon planet because it's called moon something. It's like a number and I can't remember it. But he's trying to find life to sort of save humanity. And I won't go into details of like what happens, but you can figure it out for yourself. But that is the essence of Simon. And I really started to kind of root for him in a way, which is great. You know, it's like, it's not me seeing Markiplier lose himself, because I've seen that on multiple occasions. It actually felt like there was a character who's made many, many mistakes, both before and during the events of the film. And he's trying to redeem himself from his past and present mistakes, which was great. It honestly really did well for itself, you know, and I honestly felt like there was a story that was being told. And after the film ended, I kind of was like, oh, there's more than what meets the eye in this film. You know, it starts off as this basic idea of a dude who's trying to survive being in a blood ocean planet to, oh, this is a dude trying to save the grandscape of humanity, you know, trying to help humanity get itself back on its feet after this great rapture, or this new rapture, whatever it's called. So I really liked how they did that, and I felt like because Markiplier wrote it, it showed me that Markiplier really does have talent as not just a content creator, but even just as a storyteller, as a filmmaker. He really went above and beyond for this film, and it's shown now through the film. Now, another thing I want to touch up upon, and why I think this film is really unique, is that Markiplier did this himself with no studio backing him up. He had to finance it entirely on his own, which was like, I think, a $3 million budget. It made 3 times more of that. It made like $22 million, I think, at the box office, and it at one point became the #1 movie in America. And Hollywood was just not happy about that, and it became this huge scandal that I think is still being covered about how Markiplier's film you know, is paving the way for filmmaking to become this entirely new thing where indie filmmakers may have a chance. And it's one thing that films cannot buy, you know, big studios cannot buy. It's fan base's approval and appreciation. They can buy the greatest equipment, the greatest actors, the greatest stories, but at the end of the day, it almost means nothing if the fans or the fandom or just the people's interest are not interested. And because this is Markiplier, and he's built this, like, he's built this this wonderful community on YouTube, of which I'm a part of myself, because I've seen Markiplier grow from his Five Nights at Freddy's days to his now his movie debut. I feel like there is a large level of enjoyment watching this film, because it's like we're seeing our idol grow up in a way, you know, even though this dude is older than me, but still, I just remember Markiplier being like an inspiration for me as a YouTuber, and hence why I did YouTube in the first place. And to see him make a movie, a full feature movie, was great, and to see it actually do really well is great. I mean, again, this is a video game adaptation, and I'm on that train of like, I'm not a sucker for video game adaptations. There's just something about them that I just don't really like, and there isn't any heart or soul poured into it. It's just because people like a game that they want to see it be made into a movie. But what's the point of making it into a movie if it doesn't offer the same but also enhanced experience from the game, you know? And that's kind of how I see it. I mean, I saw the FNAF 2 movie, and I thought that movie was not really good at all. I saw the first one, and I thought it was like, you know, it wasn't great, but it was definitely unique, and it was like, okay, this is for the FNAF fans, and as a FNAF fan, I can enjoy it. But the second movie, I just was like, what am I watching? You know? And I'm not going to get into that, because it doesn't matter. This is Iron Lung's time. And again, to just sort of summarize it all up, the movie is fine, you know? I think if you have the patience for it, you'll enjoy it. And if you really like Markiplier, not just as an entertainer, but just even as a person, which I do, because I feel like he's one of the only few faces on YouTube who isn't embroidered in anything horrible. He's a good person. He genuinely donates a lot of money to charity. He's just a wonderful human being, just doing what he loves. And seeing his success in Iron Lung and how much love and dedication and hard work he poured into making this film, is seen, and that's why I think this film succeeds where it does. There's genuine passion poured into it. It's not just him making it to make a quick buck. In fact, I heard somewhere he actually, because of the success of Iron Lung, he's double the payment for his crew for the success of the film. And it just goes to show that Markiplier cannot succeed. He didn't just succeed in making this film. He succeeded in just being himself and showing the hard work through this film. And I think that's something as filmmakers we should strive to do. It's not just about what you create, but who you are in creating it. And I felt like because of Markiplier's success on YouTube and just his overall persona on YouTube, being this like entertaining but charismatic individual, you see that in the context of the film. And it just feels terrific to see how Iron Lung became a glorified phenomena now at this point because of just the impact that Markiplier poured into it. You know, it's like there's only so many games that get this much appreciation, but I feel like with how Iron Lung is, a lot of people don't like the game. I'm mixed about it, but I have yet to like fully experience it for myself, which I'm about to in a second. But to me, it's more about what the film is about and why it was made in the first place and what the game inspiration was about, and more about seeing indie filmmakers really make an impact on Hollywood and just filmmaking as a whole. And I'm just excited, and I'm just hopeful that this film paves the way for a new era of Hollywood that can be appreciated, has genuine authenticity in it, and doesn't require corporate studios and greedy companies to get involved. And just seeing that really does excite me for the future of Hollywood. I just hope Hollywood doesn't mess it up, because, you know, it was taken off the #1 chart for a while, because Hollywood can't have a YouTuber being successful in a film. It needs to be, you know, corporate, and needs to have billions of dollars and yada yada yada. But it shows that sometimes the simplest films are probably the best, and hence why indie films are hopefully the future of filmmaking for however long we have filmmaking, as long as AI doesn't mess us up. But anyways, yeah, so that was my review of Iron Lung, and with that, I am now going to be playing the video game. So I'll see you there. Alright, unfortunate update. I tried playing the video game, and it just, it was just a nightmare. I could not, for the love of me, be able to just record myself playing. A lot of things went wrong. Audio, game. The actual game itself was what just threw me off the limit. Literally playing the game was a nightmare, trying to navigate through, and I kept dying, and I was just like, forget it, I'm not going to play the game. I'm not saying like I'm quitting on it, but I just wanted to make a video talking about my experience in playing the game, and I thought, to me, you know, I was more interested in seeing the impact of video game adaptations in film, as well as just the impact that Markiplier has now set in cinemas with his film. So I think from now on, you know, that was just, it was just nice to see, beautiful to see, honestly. So huge congratulations to Markiplier for actually going through the hard work and process to bringing this film to life. I really felt enthralled by his performance and just the overall film as all. You know, it's not the best film in the world, but it's definitely a film that is making a great impact, and honestly seeing just how it came to be is what more people are really impressed by than anything else. So at the end of the day, Mark set out to do what he wanted, what every filmmaker should set out to do in some way, shape, or form, and left a pretty unique reception for it, and that counts for something. So regardless of what I think, regardless of what everyone thinks, the game is, you know, the game's there, and it's now made its legendary status thanks to the likes of Markiplier, and we can only really just thank him for that, because regardless of what you think about the game or the movie, you can't deny the impact that it's making on Hollywood with just the simplicity, as well as just the overall, like, structural impact that Mark has poured into making this film come to life. So with that being said, thank you all so much for watching. I hope to see you all in the next video, and be sure to check out Iron Lung in theaters or whenever it comes out, either on digital or streaming platforms. But go check it out. I highly recommend it, and just, you know, appreciate the craftsmanship that went into it, because I feel like that really sets the tone for where we should be with films, honestly, with just the love of going to the movie theater. Like, it made me really appreciate going to the movie theater, because I could just see that Markiplier really did care about this project, and I'm hoping that people follow, like myself, follow in his footsteps in the future of cinema. So yeah, that was just it. Thanks for watching. I'll see you all in the next one. Take care.